Hello and welcome to a new Brave Frontier video. Today I decided to do something a little bit different and do a top 10. I say top 10 is just 10. There's no top, there's no like real importance to these terms. It's just 10 terms I think are useful in the context of Brave Frontier. Whether these be just like community like made up terms or just terms that are in the game that I think need a little bit more explanation. Just because like there's a lot of confusing things going on in Brave Frontier that maybe like new players or returning players who haven't played the game in like 5 years haven't like experienced. So without further ado, let's get on into the first term right here, number 10, I guess. The first term I want to talk about, and this might take me a little bit to really go into detail about because it is a bit in depth, but I will try my best to keep this brief. It is the Timlo nuke strategy, or just Timlo nuke, or just Timlo. I'm not entirely certain how the strategy got its name. It was developed by a user. I imagine his username is just Timlo, and Brave Frontier might be something different. I'm not entirely certain. But it's a strategy where you utilize a bunch of broken buffs. You use recast, you use extra action. One of the big proponents to the Timlo nuke is Arumots. Arumots being a free to get units. All you need is 200 Brave Insignia tokens to get them. You are going to need a recaster. Ravia is a good option, but there are, of course, not Ravia. Ravia is not a recaster. She has extra action. Extra action you're gonna need. Ravia is a good choice for extra action. Recaster Andaria is a good choice because she provides 40% Braver's gauge cost reduction just for being a leader. So yeah, Lillie has 2 videos about the Timlo nuke strategy. The first one's about 5-ish minutes long. I think it's closer to 6 actually. It's just a brief description on like how it works. His second video is about 15 minutes long. But there's a lot more that really goes into the Timlo nuke, and he does a better job explaining it into more detail in the 15-minute video. There will be a link to both in the description down below, so be sure to check it out if you want to find out how to deal a lot of damage. The next term I want to talk about is, I actually brought it up in the last section, recast. Recast is where in a unit's kit it reads activates BB, SBB, UBB twice in one turn, or just twice for X amount of turns. And the way that works is just simply like as soon as, like, let's say you have someone like Giselle who has guaranteed recast, a 100% chance for units to use their BB, SBB, UBB again in the same turn. Giselle uses her UBB. All the units have used their Super Brave Burst, just to keep things easy. As soon as each unit is done using their Brave Burst, Super Brave Burst, or Ultimate Brave Burst, they immediately go again. Like, as soon as they're done, just again, to deal a lot of damage, which is super useful just to deal more damage. It's used in conjunction with extra action a lot just to like maximize your damage output. And yeah, super useful. Just recast is super nice. Typically, if a unit has recast, they're probably going to be considered to be fairly good. Not always guaranteed to be good, even if they do have recast, but it certainly does help. Makes it more usable. The next term I want to talk about is actually brought up in the last few ones, extra action. Extra action is, it reads as that in Brave Frontier. Units have extra action in the same turn for, I think it's typically just 1 turn. I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think there are any units who have extra action for 2 turns on their UBB. I think Feora actually gets it on her BB for 2 turns. That's kind of weird. But usually in the UBB, it's 1 extra action for 1 turn. And the reason why extra action is brought up a lot in Brave Frontier and why it's kind of an important term is because of how broken it is. Like, mechanically speaking, it is broken. The way it interacts with overdrive, let's say you have a unit with extra action on their UBB. You get the UBB, you go into overdrive, you use the UBB, you get the extra action, you somehow manage to fill out the overdrive gauge back up to full, you overdrive again, you can have, in theory, infinite extra actions as long as you can continue to fill up that overdrive gauge. There's no longer an actual infinite ultimate braver strategy. It was gotten rid of like a while ago. But you can still get like a lot of UBBs from one unit in one turn, utilizing extra action to recast. So extra action is a super important term to know because just how broken it is. The next term, the number 6 slot, is it number 6? I can't math. Mitigator, mitigation. These go hand in hand because of, well, 3 words. So a mitigator is someone who mitigates damage. This specifically refers to units who, in their text, usually their Brave Burst or Super Brave Burst, has the effect of 50% damage reduction for X amount of turns. If they have this phrasing in their BB or SBB, or given to their BB, SBB with enhancements, they are a mitigator. They mitigate damage. The straight up damage you're going to receive from being attacked by enemies. Yeah. Nothing too fancy going on there. There are units who do have 100% mitigation or 100% damage reduction in their UBB. But even if they have this, they're not really... the community doesn't call them a mitigator because they don't have it on their SBB for 50%. Like it's weird, but they're not technically. They're technically mitigators, but no one calls them mitigators if they just have the 100% damage reduction and their UBB, but nowhere else. It's only in their BB SBB. I don't know why, but oh well, it's just how it is. Next up, the number 5 and I'm bad at math. 4 slot, 5 and 4 slot, go hand in hand here. Number 5 slot is DOT, damage over time or damage on turn. I believe it's actually the first one, damage over time. Both make sense to me. I take it as you will. But regardless, DOT refers to when your units or when the enemy takes damage after they have made their turn. And the reason why I say either your units or the enemy is because both can be inflicted with DOT. Typically, you're going to see this more with enemies inflicting it onto your units. Primarily in the Raid Class 7 bosses, the 3rd tier boss does actually inflict DOT. It's really obnoxious and I don't like it. But there are units that you can use that do inflict DOT, and they tend to be more competitive units from what I gather, but there are also, I say competitive, the units you find in PvP in like Coliseum, Arena, Vortex Arena, all those tend to have like DOT effects, but there are non-PvP units that do have DOT effects as well. So it's just, DOT refers to an effect that's inflicted that just causes more damage when the turn ends. It's a fixed amount of damage, not much you can do there. Super useful to just take down bosses, really obnoxious to be inflicted with. And the number 4 slot goes hand in hand with DOT, additional damage reduction. This is a term within the game. Additional damage reduction refers to reducing damage on turn, DOT damage. It does not refer to just more mitigation. It's technically a form of mitigation, but it's not the same form of mitigation that 50% damage reduction refers to. So typically you would see like 20% additional damage reduction. That's 20% reduction from DOT damage. Super useful to have for Raid Class 7. Definitely recommend taking it with you for that. So yeah. That's it. It's confusing when you first read it, but now that you know that it refers to DOT damage, it's a little bit less confusing. So, yeah. Up next, we have an acronym. These next two are acronyms, like 4 of these items are acronyms. EWD. EWD stands for Elemental Weakness Damage, which is not just the elemental weakness damage. It specifically refers to when a unit has in their kits increases elemental, like usually fire elemental damage or water elemental damage or all elemental damage. Sadly, the all elemental damage does not stack with element specific boosts. Boosts elemental damage. That's what it is. And what this does is it simply increases the amount of damage that your units inflict onto enemies that are weak to units. So like boost fire elemental damage or boost the amount of damage fire units do to earth units due to weakness. Super useful to have. It's one of the many buffs a lot of players look at to see if a unit has, if they're actually if they're considered to be one of the best units for their elements. If a unit provides EWD, they are probably going to be pretty good, especially if they provide other essential buffs as well. So, super useful to look out for. Definitely recommend looking to see if your units have it. And yeah. Up next, we have AI, which does not refer to the artificial intelligence that units use in the arena. It refers to the a certain effect, Angel Idol, the Angel Idol effect. And this in turn references the item in the game of the same name, the Angel Idol. The Angel Idol makes it so that way the unit you use it on is guaranteed to survive for that turn. It cannot be knocked out in that turn. It has KO negation for that turn, unless the buff gets wiped. And this is super important because there are a lot of units who provide Angel Idol buffs on their UBB. And there are some bosses where you're going to want those Angel Idol buffs to actually, get past their like squad wiping attacks. If you don't just absolutely nuke it first. So if you aren't like a super powerful, if you don't have like a lot of these super powerful units or spheres or Elgifs, having Angel Idol on your squad does help your survivability. So it's super useful to go for Angel Idol or AI for your squads, typically through the use of UBBs, because that's an infinite use of Angel Idol. It's going to be a chance to survive. It's not guaranteed with UBBs. But there are some units who have a guaranteed KO negation, either through their extra skill or their enhancements. So it's definitely worth checking out to see which units have that. It also makes them like super obnoxious in PvP, because you think you might have them knocked out, but nope, they're still alive. So, and in the number 2 slots, we have N-Attack, or N-A-T-K, Netk. It's just a shortening of normal attack. People throw this term around usually in reference to units to provide the... There are like 2 buffs that apply to normal attack. There's additional hits for normal attack, which is more useful for the cheesy quests where you need to have more hits than anything, like the first quest in Joy to Ashes, I believe. And the other thing is normal attack hitting all enemies, which is I find to be super useful for Arena and Vortex Arena. That's one of my favorite strategies to use for both of those. So yeah, just simply the normal attack, a shortening of normal attack. Not used super often, but when it is used potently. And the last term, the number 1 slot is UOC, the one term to really excite any player, new or old, your own unit of choice. Now this term makes a little bit less sense nowadays, seeing as the traditional unit of choice was gotten rid of back in, I believe, end of 2018, beginning of 2019. It used to be that you could choose from pretty much like the entire, like nearly the entire unit selection, minus some seasonal units. And it got really weird towards the end of the USCs being a thing because they wouldn't include the units that came out in the past 2 years. So Gumi decided, you know what? This is kind of silly. No one's gonna be picking up any of these super old units like Okina or the old Hadron, unless they're like an old player who wants to pick up a unit they never got and they're never gonna use. So let's do something different and give them Hero Selector tickets, which is the new unit of choice where you use the tickets in the summoning section. It's typically like at the very bottom of the banners. And you get to choose your units from a significantly smaller pool of units than what unit of choice used to be. I think we are getting the largest Hero Selector ticket pool. For this 7th anniversary. I think it's the largest one there has been for the Selector tickets. And it's super exciting because, well, free units of your choice just for logging in. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to log in and you get the thing. It is great. The Hero Selector tickets, the unit of choices are always great, and because of the way that the Selector tickets work, it makes it significantly easier to talk about which units are good picks for unit of choice. So yeah, USC just simply stands for unit of choice. Highly recommend getting them when you can. And that about does it. If you think there are more terms in Brave Frontier that are good for newer or returning players to know, let me know in the comments down below. If there are any terms that you are not familiar with, that you wish to know more about, either ask your community. That's probably the best way to learn about terms. Ask in the comments down below. That's another good way. Or just let me know. I might make another video about this. We can scrounge together 10 more terms, because let's be honest, I had a hard time coming up with the last 5, not like the last 5 terms on this list, but the last 5 terms I came up with. So I'm not entirely sure there's enough for another video, but if there is, let me know in the comments down below. If you want more content, I do actually have a second YouTube channel dedicated to my previous broadcast, full playthroughs of video games. I do have some videos up on there right now, and there will be more videos to come in the future of just stuff I've yet to upload and just more games I want to play on Twitch. And that brings me to the other thing I want to plug, my Twitch channel. I stream on Twitch fairly regularly. I play primarily Pokemon at the moment. I've been doing a lot of shiny hunting, but I do also plan on playing other games. Anytime there's like a massive thing going on in Brave Frontier, I tend to stream at least once during that event period. If it's something like this anniversary, I go live every Tuesday with the daily summon tickets. I always like to do massive summoning sessions with the daily summon tickets given away for the various events. So if you like watching summoning sessions, definitely check out my streams. And that about does it. If there's anything else I want to plug, it would be in the description down below, so do check that out. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!